Okay, good evening, everyone. How are you doing today? Good evening, online. My dear, fantastic people. Hi, Dinesh. Hi, Harish. He put as Venkat Harish, old student. That's good idea, no? So putting your name and then hyphen old student. Yeah, old and new. I'll get to know. Hi, Ma, Purnima. Okay. Hi, Vidit. Hi, Avinash. Pawan. Everyone. I think here most of the people, yeah, Dinesh, I know you. So here, most of the people are my old students only. Let me ask this question first. Anyone new today online? Just put new, yes or yes, yes. Okay. Okay, there are few quite many people new today. So welcome to the class, and I really appreciate again taking time and joining the classes, especially on December 30th, where most of the people out here have their own plans, but you choose attending this class. I should really, really appreciate from my bottom of my heart that this shows you how interested you guys are to learn these topics. Great, heads up. Okay, so those who are all my previous old students, we don't need any introduction, but new people, those who have joined today, uh, just a quick thing about them, okay? And MA and something. So this class for Java full stack students, answer is no. So guys, those who are here, Java full stack students from Naresh IT, you can skip this course or skip this class. This is not for you, please. So this course is related to DevOps, okay? So for this course, the prerequisites is AWS. So you should know AWS beforehand in order to go with this course. Okay, so as here most of my previous students, so as they all know about this AWS, so this will be very easy for them, so that I no need to talk about the AWS in this course. Those who are new people, as I said, if you know already AWS basics, it's good. If not, so this course required prerequisites of AWS. At least you should know few services. And also I said before that if you are new and you want to learn AWS also, please watch out. In the morning, I have 9 a.m. batch running. So please join there, new people. There, I'll be starting AWS and DevOps both, which is going for 4 months. And this course is for 2 months because we are talking only on DevOps. Okay, ma? Online? So online people, if it is clear, please put CC. CC meaning crystal clear before I go into the topics. Fantastic. I said, no Jayant. This is AWS DevOps. Okay. All right. Yes, Shankar. Oh, diamond clear. New one. Yes, Jansi. Jansi, I know you. So this is AWS coverage, not Azure. Right? Okay, ma. Let's jump on. So in our last class, what we discussed, do you remember? We discussed quite a few things yesterday. So we discussed about okay, Danish is saying, I'm interested in DevOps, not in AWS DevOps. Guys, again, I'm saying in this course, I'll be teaching you DevOps, which has native tools. And also, additionally, I'll be teaching AWS DevOps also, right? Both will be included in it. Danish, okay? Danish. Okay, so in our last class, what we did, we have learned about what is DevOps, right? And what are the things it contains and what are the different models. So if we just have a quick shoot down on what we have learned in our last class quickly. And we started yesterday's class uh, by introducing SDLC. What is the full form of SDLC? Software Development Lifecycle. Wow, what is that? Let me take that. Good evening, sir. Sorry, sir, joined late for your DevOps, where we have been waiting from months for your batch. I'm your previous year and I sincerely want to thank you. I have cleared the screen test conducted by our institute in 21st position among qualified 182 students. Wow. So thank you for much taking day off, Sandrika. Sorry. No problem. So congratulations, Deepthi. As I said, here a lot of people a lot of people are qualified in this AWS screen test. So I really congratulate for all of my old AWS students. So offline people, so many got qualified and also online. So this is really good. And I told you, no, I will be conducting a special batch for my previous old students like you. In Naresh IT, there will not be only DevOps anymore. In Naresh IT, the courses will be DevOps with AWS, which is 4 months course. This course I have requested management to put only DevOps just for my previous genius, wonderful people like my old students here. Okay, good. I'm very happy to see you all here, and let's move on. Let's enjoy the class. Good, Dinesh. Congratulations. Dinesh also completed solution architect certification. Very good. Good to see you here, Deepthi and Dinesh and everyone. Okay, ma. So let's move on. And to be honest, I'm telling you, every day morning when I wake up, I generally don't think about any other batches except this batch, because I really like this batch because here not one or two people, there's so many people joined. All are my previous guys, and everyone is like a gem here waiting for my DevOps classes, right? So it's really, really, really good. Thank you for waiting, guys. Yeah. Okay, ma, let's move on. So in our last class, we started saying that we need to start a business. And if you want to start a business or any application, first, everything we start with the SDLC, Software Development Life Cycle. So in SDLC, we have different phases, no? Do you remember the different phases? What is that? First is requirement analysis, requirement gathering, like planning, right? Analysis, design, coding, right? And then deploying, maintaining, managing everything, right? And then later also in this SDLC, we have majorly three models. What are those three models? Waterfall model, agile model, DevOps model. So do you all understood the difference between all these three? So I have introduced what is waterfall model and what is the example of that in real time. And also, hi. Yes, Zainul, welcome. Yeah. Hi, Akhil, I remember you. Yeah. Okay. And also we discussed about the second model, which is agile model, whereas in DevOps model, everything is sequential approach or not. So everything they will do the coding first, and then later they do the deployment, test and deployment, where they're spending a lot of time in the coding, red coding stuff, and the deployment will happening after the entire the coding is done. So which is not very sufficient or a very good process. Later we have gone through which model? Agile model, where in agile model they will do the code and they will do test, but the deployment will be happening every 2 weeks. What is that every 2 weeks called? Sprints. Online chitis, put it, Nana. What is that called? Sprints. And that collection of sprints, we call it as what? Release. What is that? Release. So if you have 4 sprints, and every 4 sprints, so every sprint they'll do the deployment and do the changes. And like this, once the 4 sprints or how many sprints that completed, they will release the product. And then, and the client feedback, customer feedback will come every 2 weeks. Is that good? It might be good for something, but this is not a ideal situation where in our product delivery, product development companies. So this is not the good approach where they have introduced which model? DevOps model. In this DevOps model, what we do, Nana, here? We code, we build, we test, and immediately we deploy. We code, we build, we test, and immediately we deploy. So for each and everything deployment happening, and then we'll get to know what kind of errors, and everyone will be get alerted. Like who will alert? Developers will be alerted, testers will be alerted, and also operations people, DevOps people also will get alerted, because here any kind of errors they can easily rectify before going to the customer. That was the DevOps model. So this is what we have discussed, and also we have discussed what is DevOps, what exactly the DevOps definitions are, and what are the advantages. Using DevOps is very speed or not. So that meaning the deployment will be speed, and then development will be very rapid, quick releases, and then security, client satisfaction, team collaboration, everything will be under the DevOps model or not. And also additionally, so we have discussed about the DevOps tools. Let me ask you if you remember the tools. Okay, now from here, from today, it's important. Okay, remember in our AWS classes we learned about a lot of basics. Every day we were learning about the client, server, this architectures, and then what else? DNSs, right? Protocols. You're all expert on all these things, and you're already certified also. Good to see you that you're all certified mostly. Right now, let's move on to the actual technical topics, because we don't have any much basics here. Whatever we are learning is basics only, but actually topic. So what are the tools? First of all, repository tools. So which is the tool that where we store the code? GitHub. Everyone put it in the chat, because these tools you should get in your brains so these tools need to be fixed in your brains. So whenever where you manage the code is where Nana? Git or GitHub. Where? Git or GitHub. So that is called source code management tool. What is that called? Source code management tool, where you store all the code into that repository. What we say here? Repository. Where do we create this repository? In GitHub. So not only GitHub, we have so many different tools. So where, can you tell me, we have something called Bitbucket, SVN tools are there. There are so many different tools, but out of all those tools, which is the most commonly used tool? GitHub. So example, whether I checked this basically, Google Trends. If you go to Google Trends, okay. So here I'll start for watch. Which one? GitHub. Do you see this here? Not only in India, let's take worldwide. I'll give you a real-time thing, how GitHub is used. Do you see this interested over the time? Do you see how much percentage? Mostly, it has been more than 75%, right? So you see how they are using the GitHub since these are all the days only. So not past day, let's say for example, past 12 months, let's take. Do you see that it is increasing or decreasing? Both. So that meaning here, but it is more than 75% all the time or not? So that means this is the most commonly used tool or not, compared to the rest of the tools. So whichever the tools that you want, you can go and search it here. I think most of the people doesn't know this. Guys, this is a very good tool where you can search which one is used mostly in the market. So what is the tool that we're using here? Google Trends. What is that? Google Trends. You can. So give me one thing. So let's say Jenkins. We'll talk. So we'll talk. So here, do you see this? Let's go to Jenkins, and do you see this? It has turned already 100% or not? So compared to the tools here, these tools are very commonly used. So whichever the tools those are commonly used, that I will be covering here in our course. Okay. So here also, we have repository tools. Which is the repository tool that we are using here at the moment? GitHub, number one. Okay. Next, for build tools. For build tool, which is the tool that we are using? Maven. Everyone put it in the chat, Anna. What is that? Maven. So repository tool is GitHub. Next build tool is what here? Maven. And then after building it, we need to do the code testing or not. Code review needs to be done. So which is the tool that we use for code review in this course? SonarQube. So we will not be going deeper we will not be using as a testing job here. What we do is, Nana, we will just go and see the review. We will do just SonarQube tool will go and check the code review. We are not the ones who open the code and check whether how the code has written. We are not the one who should be reviewing it. Because why? We love coding. That's the reason why we are here. Yes. So whenever someone say coding, what we'll do? We'll show the thumb finger. Because we don't know about coding. Right? So we don't know anything about the coding. So for that reason here, we are not at all interested in developing the coding and seeing the code. Remember in this course. Right? Except there is a tool called Terraform where we need to do the coding, but this is not like a Java coding or .NET coding. It's a HashiCorp language, which is easily understandable. Okay. Okay, Nana. So that is, yes. So that is the code review purpose. Which one we are using Nana here? SonarQube. Okay. Now for code deployment purpose, which one we are using here? Jenkins. Which one we are using Nana here? Jenkins. Okay. So code repository, GitHub. Next build. Which one? Maven. Next code review. Which one? SonarQube. Next we need to do the deployment. So which is the tool that we use for the deployment? Jenkins. Say that. Jenkins. So these tools you need to get injected in your brains. For code deployment, which one we use? Jenkins. Which one we use? Jenkins. Okay. So next we have we have used the Jenkins. But the question is where we need to deploy this. So we have the application, right? So Jenkins will take the application and then it needs to go and deploy where? In AWS, in Azure, in GCP, wherever you want to do, you can go and do the deployment. So from Jenkins, you can deploy anywhere. But which is the cloud provider that we are using? AWS. For that reason here, so Jenkins will deploy to AWS. So in AWS, we have different services or not? So you tell me, Nana, here. You tell me here. In AWS, where do we go and deploy the applications in general? Which service? EC2, no? We have deployed so many things on EC2 in our AWS classes before, right? So yes, Jenkins will deploy applications on EC2. And that is the previous approaches. Nowadays, microservices came up or not? What is that? Microservices came. So I'll be talking about what is monolithic and microservice when we go into the Docker level, that meaning microservices level. When we do the containerization, there I'll be talking about difference between monolithic and microservice. But here I'm telling you, Jenkins will deploy the code to EC2, or Jenkins will deploy the code to Dockers, or Jenkins will deploy the code to Kubernetes. You're getting it? You're getting it, Nana? And then whatever that got deployed in your EC2 or Docker or Kubernetes, who will be using that application? Customers are using the application. And all are different phases or not? All those different phases, now I'll be putting it here technically now. So I have injected you now, there are tools. So now if I ask you the question, source code management, which tool? Everyone, put it in the chat, Chitty. What is that, Nana? Here, louder. GitHub. What is that? GitHub. Build. Maven. And then code review. SonarQube. Deployment. Jenkins. Before SonarQube, after the code review happens, artifacts concept will be there. We'll talk when we go deeper. Excuse me. Jenkins will deploy where? In AWS. In AWS, which service? EC2, number one. Next. Dockers. Next. Kubernetes. Okay. Now the application has been deployed in these places. Now, if you want to do some configuration changes, there should be some tool to do the configuration changes or not? Which is the tool to do the configuration changes? Ansible. Which one, Nana? Here? Ansible. Remember, we have learned this in our last class. So whenever if you want to do the configuration session, which tool that you choose? Ansible. Good. Now, in AWS, you want to launch EC2 instances. Remember, we have learned a lot about VPCs. VPCs, RDS, so many things we have learned. If we want to set up the entire VPC, remember CloudFormation, we have set up the VPC or not? With using CloudFormation, we have set up the VPC in our AWS classes. But now that is in AWS. If we want to automate the infrastructure, we have used CloudFormation. But in DevOps, there is a tool where you do the automation of this infrastructure. Which tool is that? Terraform. So this is an interview question. Which is a tool where you can use for automating the entire infrastructure? Which one here? Terraform. So now, whatever the things that you have deployed, everything you need to monitor or not? So for monitoring, there are different tools are available. So can you tell me which is the tool that we are covering in this course? Prometheus and Grafana. And also we have different tools also available or not? Like Splunk, Datadog, Nagios. There are so many. But we cannot cover these many tools, right? For that reason, let's select the one tool which is most commonly used nowadays because these are freeware. I mean, open source. Got it? Will you select any tools which is a license version? Are you interested to pay license and then tell me Datadog is license version where I can do that also. But thing is here in our company, in the companies, as they can go for the license base, that's the reason they go for Datadog or Splunk and all. But here, as we need to go with this free, so-called free things, so we need to choose the open source tools, right? Yeah. Is it clear, Nana? And all these, if I want to manage, I'm the manager, I want to manage the entire project. Let's say I have Karthik, Pradeep, Vansh, all these people are there, Raju, right? So, Suvashu, right? So if I want to give the task, right? I want to give the task. Vansh, set up Jenkins. I forgot the name, Pradeep. Madhu, right? Madhu, you go and set up this. Jaya, you go and set up that. Karthik, you go and set up this. Nana, do I need to write in my diary? Do I need to maintain the diary like all heroines are maintaining? No, right? So I cannot open my diary and put it here. Today's task, Karthik, you do this and do this. No. Everyone should see that diary or not. So that diary is nothing but here in online it is available, so-called. So we have tools to manage those tasks. So the most commonly used one is Jira, and we need to go for the open source or not. So we have what is Trello. What is that here? Trello. Now you entire understood the project management now. Huh? So whenever if I ask any phase, you need to tell the tool. Should I take a minute and ask for the tools names now? Because I know TF is also there, Slack is also there. There are so many things, communication tools are also there. Okay, let me ask the questions here and fatafak you need to answer it. Okay, because many of you don't remember the tool names. In interviews, generally they will ask, yes, I'm sharing the screen, but I'm not writing. Okay. In interviews, they will ask this general question, which is the tool that you use for your build purpose? That is how you need to answer. Which one, Nana? Man. So in your project, which tool did you use for your source code management? Which one? No problem, because the names you should get habituated. That's the reason why these many times I'm repeating it. Okay. So source code. Code, where do you manage, Nana? GitHub. Where do you manage? GitHub. So which is the code, which is a tool? Okay, let me introduce one more tool. Which is a tool where you store artifacts? Okay, so artifacts here meaning, let me introduce. Now you have done the code review. What is the tool to use for code review? SonarQube. What is the tool that we use for that, Anna? SonarQube. So after SonarQube, your code is fresh and clean or not? It is ready to deploy or not? So code meaning here, so the code will be generated in a artifact is nothing but zip file, jar file, war file, year file. You have exe file, MSI file. These are all the outputs of your artifacts. Your all output for your artifacts. So that means, let's say you are installing software in your laptop or not. What is the extension of that software? Exe or MSI file sometimes. Yes or no? Or there are, so like this, we have the code, the whatever the developers have developed, that is packaged, that is built and packaged in the form of some files. We call it as what? Artifact. That artifact we need to deploy onto the server. Zip file, var file. Java will develop, they will develop Java files, right? So the Java files, they will build, they will do what? Var files. So these artifacts, where do you store? There is a separate place for that tool. We call it as Nexus. Say that. Nexus. This is another tool that I'm introducing you. Which one, Nana, here? Nexus. Say that. You can also another have tool. JFrog is also there. But which one we are using here? Nexus. Say that, everyone. Nexus. Now, which is a tool to store the artifacts? Can I ask this question? Which is the service in AWS where you can store the artifacts? Super answer. Which one? S3. Correct. This is how the interview questions will be. Right? So guys, for me, it will take few minutes. I will enter into the topic, but I want to clear all your basic things. Right? Okay, good. Okay, which is a code, which is a tool for infrastructure automation? Terraform. Which is a tool for configuration? Ansible. Which is a tool for containerizations? Docker. Which is a tool for this orchestration? Kubernetes. So which is a tool for code deployment? Jenkins. Understood? This is how you should be. Okay, Nana? Okay. Online, is this clear till here? So whatever that we have discussed now, let me put it into our favorite paint. Okay. So by seeing this paint, even after your 60 years, you should be able to remember the process. Okay. Yeah. Your kids, huh? Interested. Okay. Okay, Nana. So who we are here? We have what, Nana? Developers. Who will develop the code? Online cities put it, Nana. Let's be interactive as always. Who will develop the code? Developers will develop the code. Okay. Developers will develop the code. Let's say we have few developers. All whatever the Danish didn't forget Roxy. So okay, fine. So developers develop the code. Will they keep the code in their own laptop? If some people know already DevOps, okay, good. Those who don't know anything about it, now tell me, what is the reason if you store, now Jaya is there. So Jaya she developed a nice Java code. And will she keep that entire code that she has developed for 1 month in her laptop? What if that laptop goes off or hard disk crash? Whatever the effort she puts is lost or not? So is it good to keep it in her laptop in remote place? Remote place. Where is that place? Repository. Where do we create repository? GitHub. That is the answer. Okay. So okay. So developers develops the code, and what they do, Nana, they will store the code. Or instead of saying store the code, we use a word called push. Push the code. Say that. Push the code. Or in another words, what we say, commit the code. What we need to say, Nana? Push or commit. First, we need to commit and then push. That process we'll learn. But here, what is the layman language that we are using? Push the code or commit the code. Now tell me, where do you commit the code? Repository. Where? GitHub. Is it only GitHub? No, it can be Bitbucket. It can be GitLab. I'll talk about GitLab, you asked. We'll talk when time comes. Right? And then, so there are so many things are there here. But here, which one we are using, Nana, here? GitHub. This is called SCM. Say that. SCM meaning what? Source code management. Say that. So I'll write the legends here. SCM. What is SCM? Source code management. So can we say that our GitHub is called source code management? Our GitHub is called source code. Wherever the source code meaning what? The code which is developed by the developer, we call it as source code. That's source code where you are managing in the GitHub. So we have a concept called VCS, version control systems. We'll talk about all these things. You know, right? When time comes, then only I'll take that words. Otherwise, I don't take. So there is some process. Slowly we'll go. Okay, now. So now you know. So now here, developers has pushed the code in the GitHub. Now what will happen? After that, what we need to do? What we need to do? What we need to do? Build. What we need to do? Yes or no? So source code they have written. So they have written the code and she has put it into the repository. And what we need to do as a DevOps engineer? We need to pull the code. What we need to do? Pull the code from where? GitHub. We need to pull the code from the GitHub. And what we need to do? Build the code. What we need to do now here? Next step is build. So for build purpose, so what are the tools that we have? Which one here we have? Maven. And what we have here? Ant. We have also Gradle. And there are Microsoft MS Build is also there. There are so many things out there. But which one we are using here? Maven. Good. Okay. So build concept here is why we are building it? Because it will install all the dependencies. What is that here? Install all dependencies. So dependencies meaning here, let's say Java people they have their own libraries, right? And then Node.js people, right? And there different languages are there or not. So all these they have the dependency libraries and some files will be there, right? All those files when it's trying to build it will download and install all these required dependency. So we will build it. So what we do mainly here, add dependencies. Maven meaning, remember, it will add dependencies. Dependencies meaning here what? All the required files and libraries. Understood build step? After building it, what we need to do now here? Test. After building, what we do? Test. Okay. So here, the next thing here, test. So here basically our testers will also involve and then they will use it. So have you heard about Selenium? We will not be using it. Hi. So we are not using it Selenium here because the core job of testers is to write the test cases, because in testing there are so many different type of testings are there or not. Functional testing is there, stress testing is there, smoke testing is there, unit testing is there, right? User acceptance test, UAT testings are there. There's so many different. Do we need to worry about that? No. So testers will take care of all these things. And which tools they use here? Selenium or JUnit, TestNG. So we will it. But here in our case, we will just review that code. And which is the tool that we use for reviewing purpose here? SonarQube. SonarQube. Good. And after this, after testing is done, my code is very clean or not? My code is super clean. As my code is super clean, it will generate after building it. So testing is done on top of it. So it will generate the artifacts or not? It will generate artifacts. What is that? Artifacts. So for artifacts, what is the tool that where we are storing the artifacts on here? Nexus. We are storing Nexus. So now Nexus is having all your war files or not? War files, jar files, year files, right? So zip files, right? Artifacts, Chandan, Tamim. Artifacts meaning your exe files will be there, no? Zip files will be there, no? So that is collection of files inside it, right? So here, if you want to install anything, will you have different files or only one file? Only one file, no? That is called here artifact. So whatever the Java code they have written, the entire code will be compiled, built, and generated only one single file. And what you do, you take it and deploy it. Once you deploy, what will happen? that will get extracted, and then all the files will come and sit into the server and will be deployed. Okay. Yes, Amit, we will be. So here, okay, there are, okay. You're getting, Nana, is it clear till here? So after, yes, correct, Tamim. So after we have the artifacts, what we need to do, we need to deploy. What we need to do, Nana, here? Deploy. Runnable file. So here, deploy. For deployment, guys, we got stuck in artifacts only still. Pratiksha, Ganesh. Okay, see. So Akhil, so do we need to take paid AWS or free tier? You already have a free tier account or not? You already have a free tier account, right? We can use that free tier account and we'll do the practicals. But like in AWS, maximum, I have skipped your billing. Yes or no? I told you what is the budget? 200. But did it cross 200 till now? No, right? For some people, yes, because you have your own style. Right? But for me, I told you that less than 200. So, but here in DevOps, we will be using few services which will not come under free tier. So for that reason, please expect little bit of bill there. How much? That's the next question. 200. You guess it? Huh? With 500, you get a. Okay, I would say 1,000 to 2,000 below. Because when I was doing practicals by myself, how much big teacher it is? First, I need to do and tell to you or not? Yes or no? Because this before I was designing this DevOps for you, I was doing all the practicals by myself. So on that month, at least I have got almost less than 1900 thing. The same thing I'm telling you, but it might be less also because I did one time, but you might be doing multiple times, right? So please expect few things, okay? But that's a maximum, Nana. That's a maximum. Okay. Yes, Bibek. Hey, Bibek. Good to see you. Yes, that's correct. All right. Okay. So let's come to the here. Deploy. So for deployment, which is the tool that we are using for deployment? Jenkins. So we are using our favorite Jenkins, which is free, open source, and it's superb. Many people are using Jenkins in real time. Not only Jenkins, we have something called, say that, TeamCity, Circle CI. What is that? Circle CI, Bamboo. What is that? Bamboo, BuildBot. Right, BuildBot is there, and GoCD is there, and then IBM Urban Code is there, but I'm not putting all these things. But instead of, so inside all these things, which one we are interested here? Jenkins. That is for Kubernetes. So that is not is a tool that is in common that we'll be using for everything. But Jenkins is the tool which we use for everything. But Argo CD is especially for a CI/CD tool for Kubernetes. Okay. Now deployment is done or not? Okay. So deployment here we are deployment is not done, but using Jenkins, where do we deploy? In AWS. Where do we deploy? In AWS. So we deploy in AWS also. We can deploy in Azure also. We can deploy in GCP also. Which one here we are interested in? AWS. And once you deployed, who will be using all these things? Customer. So here we have the customer. So we have so-called users, so-called customers, so-called clients. Yes, it's our part only, Dinesh. Nana, is it clear? Huh? this is a bloody technical thing. If whatever that we have learned till yesterday, so I have put it simply in our paint format. So by seeing this, you can easily understand what are the phases our DevOps contain and what are the tools that we will be using it here. Okay, fine. But I did not expanded this AWS. In AWS also we have what? EC2, Docker, Kubernetes, but I'll be taking in coming days. So here, but can you tell me here, now each and everything is a phase or not? Each and everything is a phase. So you have code is in GitHub, and GitHub needs to be integrated to which tool? Maven. And from Manner, you need to integrate to SonarQube. And from SonarQube, you need to integrate with which tool? Nexus. And Nexus need to integrate with which tool here? Jenkins. So you are continuously, what you are doing? Integrating or not? And this is called what? Continuous integration process, so-called CI. Generally, people will say CI/CD, continuous integration, blah, blah. But I'm showing you in front of your eyes what is CI. Okay. As I told you, if you make a non-IT person sitting in DevOps all time, make him understand. You're able to understand, right? Yes. So this is called CI/CD. So till here we called in a continuous integration. After that, what you are doing it? You are deploying where? In AWS. So this is called continuous deployment. Continuous. Where are you deploying? In AWS. In AWS, what are the services that we have to deploy? EC2 is there. Kubernetes is there. Docker is also there. So generally, I'll be talking about in coming days, but to let you know a little bit more here. In AWS, we have EC2, right? What we do, we will launch EC2. And then inside that EC2, we'll install Docker. Inside EC2, we install Docker. Inside the Docker, we create what? Containers. What we create on here? Containers. So here, in that containers, we will be deploying our application. Listen carefully. So we have EC2. We will launch which one we launch but which is the service that we are using here? EC2. In EC2, we are installing the Dockers manually. We are installing the Dockers manually, and we are managing the Dockers manually. We are manually maintaining the containers inside it. Usuk, if the EC2 instance goes down, Docker will happen. What will happen to Docker? Gone or not? Can you have auto scaling on that? No, right? EC2 instance, Docker engine is there inside it. It is not an application. It's an engine. You cannot have auto scaling like how we have done in AWS, like applications auto scaling. No. You need to maintain that EC2 instance somehow. But you know clearly that EC2 instance, if any chance, it might go down. If you go down, whatever the containers inside that EC2, all the containers also will go down. If the containers go down, whatever we have inside the applications also will go down. So is it good to use Docker's engines manually on EC2? That is the people are using at the moment in the real time. So in the real time, what they are doing is they are setting up the EC2 instance and managing the Docker engine manually inside the EC2 instance. I'll be showing you that also. Okay, now you can ask, sir, one EC2 instance is there. You can have a concept called cluster. What is that, Nana? What is cluster? Collection of servers. So you have one Docker. Instead of having Docker engine only on one EC2, you can have Docker engine on multiple EC2s, and you can form that as a cluster. So that meaning maximum how many EC2s you can have? 2 or 3. But 3 machines. Anytime anything can happen to those three machines or not. So just in case if something goes wrong with the team three machines, your entire infrastructure is collapsed. Which infrastructure? Microservices infrastructure is collapsed. For that reason, you tell me now, setting up Docker engine manually maintaining by yourself inside the EC2 instance is a good approach? No. So that is how in real time people are using at the moment. So for that reason, AWS came up with a service called ECS. What is it, Nana, here? ECS, Elastic Container Service. Whereas you no need to install the Docker engine. You just create the containers directly into the ECS service. Everything is managed by AWS. You tell me now, will you go with the Docker engine manually or ECS? That is the next level. Generally, wherever you go in the DevOps, they will teach till where? Docker. But here we are extending to ECS. Good or not? Say thank you. Yeah. Okay. But you understand, Nana, the overall coming things? Okay. Similarly, not only in ECS, similarly, can you have your application running on Kubernetes also or not? But you need to install Kubernetes on the EC2 instance. You need to install same whatever I told you for the Docker, similarly. But in Kubernetes, you have a concept called cluster. So, but maximum how many clusters you can have, how many nodes you can have in one cluster? 2 or 3 or 4. But those are all machines are also not. Anytime, Pusuk, that if mission goes to maintenance mode by AWS, all the pods will be, sorry for using the pods. So all the application will be moving to other server, but still you are managing it or not. But if you don't want to manage it, there is a service from AWS, EKS. What is that, Nana? EKS. What is that? Elastic Kubernetes Service. So in our course, I'll be teaching you how to set up Kubernetes manually on the EC2 instance and how to make a cluster on the EC2 instance, how to deploy, how to do auto scaling inside it, and also how to use EKS also I'll be teaching you. Got this point? You understand? So here, continuous deployment, I stopped by writing AWS. But in AWS, what are the things we have? EC2, ECS, EKS. And ECS also, we have a concept called Fargate. We will talk about it. So these are all the things will be inside the, okay, fine. So what are these called? This is called continuous deployment. Continuous deployment meaning when whatever the artifacts that you got, Jenkins is going and deploying on your EC2, Dockers or ECS, EKS or Dockers or Kubernetes continuously, automatically. That is called continuous deployment. Got it? Okay, now developer has developed some bhayanak code. Customer came to you and said, hey, I need that feature. So developer has developed the new feature. What feature? New feature. But the customer doesn't want in his product immediately. He already told to you saying that develop this feature, keep it with you. Whenever I say okay, then only go and deploy. So here, developer will develop the code. They'll push it into the GitHub. It will build and it will test. Artifact is generated with the new feature or not. But is it good to deploy? Is it good to deploy? No. For that reason, what I'm doing is I am saving that artifact separately. I'm not deploying it. I'm just, what I'm doing? Saving. Save artifacts and deploy later. How? Manually when required. And this will be deployed where, Nana? In AWS. You know what is this called? Anyone? This is called continuous delivery. Many people will confuse between continuous deployment and continuous delivery. This is the actual concept. So continuous deployment meaning you are continuously deploying, automatically deploying into the server. But whereas continuous delivery meaning you are not deploying it automatically, you are deploying it manually when required. That is called continuous delivery. Is this approach clear, guys? Online cities, is this clear, Nana, till here? Now, first this basic should be perfect. Then we will go to each and every tool and we'll learn. Is it clear? Any questions, Nana, till here? So continuous delivery is here, manual. Very good. Okay. Okay. See here. Now, these are all phases or not? These are all phases. Developers develop the code. Now, let's say, for example, what happens is developers develop the code. Developers develop the code. And what they do, they'll push it into the GitHub. Will you be there watching with your big eyes in GitHub when the code will get uploaded? Tell me. No, right? Because whenever the developer has developed the code, what he do, he push it to the GitHub or not? That meaning he's done. Commit kar diya sala. What they have done, he has committed. So he has committed to the GitHub. That meaning he's done with the code. And from there, whose responsibility is that? Ours responsibility. Ours meaning here, no more AWS engineers. But these 2 months you are DevOps engineers. DevOps engineer. So it is your responsibility now to take the code. So will you take the code manually? No. So here what is happening is whenever developer has pushed the code to the GitHub, automatically this Maven need to pick up. And from Maven will pick up. And then Maven will immediately build it. And then SonarQube will test it. Is it manually or automatically? Automatically. See here, whenever the code has been pushed here, automatically build will happen. Automatically test will happen. Automatically artifacts will generate. Automatically Jenkins will take it and automatically it will deploy to AWS servers. So to do this automatically, we need to create something called pipeline. What is that called? Pipeline. Then here, CI we have learned, and then this is what? This is CD. And if you want to mix these two, we call it as CI/CD pipeline. What is this pipeline contains? Integrating multiple tools. If you are integrating multiple tools, so we call it as here CI/CD pipeline. So here what you need to do, Nana, here. So who is the guy? Who is the guy? Let me tell, but you have learned all these things, right? Can you tell me who is the guy who is integrating all these things here? A DevOps engineer, but which tool is integrating? I didn't say this, but you tell me here, which tool is integrating? Fantastic answer. Which tool, Nana, here? Jenkins is the guy who is integrating your GitHub, Maven, SonarQube, Nexus. Who is integrating? Jenkins is integrating. That's why Jenkins is called continuous integration server. Integration server. Jenkins is what called? In real time, when you go to the jobs, they will use this word called, we have integration server. That meaning what? You give him a slap and say, call as Jenkins server. No, why you're using that much fancy words? But I need to introduce that fancy words to you also because you need to know integration server meaning it is Jenkins server. Got this, Nana? Online getting it? Now what this Jenkins server will do? In Jenkins, what it will do? It will do the code compile or not? It will do the code compile and it will, what it will? It will build it. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's not use these words. In Jenkins, what do you do? Get the code from where? From where? Tell me, Chitti, online. Get the code from GitHub. After that, what it do? Excellent. It will do build. After that, it will do test. After what it will do? Artifacts. Artifacts. After that, what will do? Deploy. What we do here? Deploy. Understood? This is the job of Jenkins. Got it? Clear, Nana, here? Now you all understood the whole thing of what the DevOps will do. So from GitHub, from this to end, the job of DevOps is doing this CI/CD pipelines. So if something goes wrong on the server, if server is not reachable, if server EC2 instance is not there, that is responsible by the DevOps engineer? Answer is no. Who is responsible? Who is AWS engineer? You actually. So here, so I think, so SRE is also there. SRE is nothing but who is maintaining the infrastructure. So you're also infrastructure people or not? So before few months, what you guys are? AWS engineers, that means infrastructure guys. So here you are, the complete responsibility is yours here in the course. But in the real time, whenever you go to the real time, actually in real time, you don't have that much of freedom to go and calify EC2 instances until unless you are a AWS DevOps engineer. If you are Chumma DevOps engineer, what you do? Simply create a pipeline. What you do? Simply create a pipeline. Pipeline you create one time. Ask DevOps or developer, where is your code? What is a GitHub? Get that repository. And Maven tool, one command is there. Three words are there. Maven clean package. So 3 words are there. Write it in pipeline. Right? And then here test SonarQube is there. 2-3 lines code where you integrate to the SonarQube server. And then whatever, so you no need to generate the zip file, war files. Who will generate? Our Maven will generate. Maven is the one who is building it, right or not? So Maven will generate the artifact. Artifact will sit in the Jenkins server or Nexus. And Jenkins server will take that artifacts and then deploy into the server. Create this and then relax. DevOps engineer job is that. Real fact. So if pipeline fails, and if you say that in pipeline in Jenkins, you will get an error saying that cannot able to connect to the server. It is your responsibility. Call AWS engineer saying that this server is not reachable, or SRE people. So they will make you the connection and then your pipeline will work as it is when the server connection is restored. But in this course, you are the whole responsibility on the server also, deployment also, pipeline also, troubleshooting errors, everything you should learn. For that reason, here it is not only DevOps, it is AWS DevOps. You understand the differences now? Okay. So, yeah, exactly. I'll stop it here. Okay. Tension nahi lene ka. Okay, aram se. We'll go slowly as usual, right? And I'll take the questions now. But you understand, na? In one shot, you have this. And okay, let me take a question. Do we learn Linux also? As I told you, I'll be teaching you Linux also. Linux will start in next year. Right? Dinesh gave AWS DevOps Doctor new award. I like you guys. Yeah. Don't leave the class until I say online. I have few things to say. Is it clear until here? Understood? Any doubts online? Any doubts? Experience Java developer can learn this. Of course, no one will stop. Sumalika, you can learn. So maximum, I don't leave any doubts as usual, you know, but just in case if you have any doubts, please ask. And who is our admin? Mr. Akhil. is your admin. So as you know, Danish, please contact Akhil. He will share you outline. And guys, please complete all your enrollments. There is nothing new for you to tell all these things. So you're all my old students, you know, right? So, but okay, tomorrow. So Dinesh is asking, sir, easier tells her just brief like easier. Okay, so good. I told you about ECS. Okay, Dinesh, good. Let me take that question. What is ECS, Nana, full form? Online, put it in chat. Elastic Container Service. EKS. Remember in EC2, we have learned about images concept. What is image? Copy of OS we have learned. But here, these applications that whatever you create, you will also bundle as a image. But here, it's not like EC2 AMI. So Docker has images. There is a website called Docker Hub. I don't want to talk about all these things here now at the moment. So Docker Hub, if you go today if you're going to open your web mobiles and then search for Docker Hub, where it contains all the Docker images. What images? If you want to launch an EC2 instance, we need to have image or not? Similarly, if you want to create a container from Docker here, which one, from where do you create? Through the image you need to create. Through the what? Image. All these things in Docker I will talk. As someone asked the question, I'm telling you. But here, as I'm using ECS and EKS, we need to store the images or not? Docker will store the images in Docker Hub separately. But whatever the images that, where do we store in our AWS? There is a service called ECR. Say that. What is ECR? Registry. Elastic Container Registry. So whatever the containers that you are creating, you will be creating to the image also, right? So with that images, where do you store in AWS? ECR. Don't worry, I'll teach you like how I have taught you today. I'll inject all these things in coming days. Okay. Thank you, Dinesh. Okay. Shakil, sir, will you teach AWS basics to advanced topic in this course? Shakil, no. I will not be teaching AWS in depth here. If you want my AWS and DevOps in AWS in depth, morning 9 o'clock batch I have started. Please contact your admin. So he will help you to reach there. Komala. Komala is asking, sir, continuous deployment is automated process. Then how continuous delivery will come into picture? So here we have concept. Whenever anything happen in the GitHub, automatically this will go and deploy. DevOps is all about automation. That will get. But if you don't want to do this automatically, because when it's a developer, he will develop and push the code in GitHub. That doesn't mean everything should go and deploy. There are few additional features that he will deploy, he will say create or develop, and he want to keep it aside. And in this release, in this sprint or in this release, they don't want to release that new feature. They can create a separate WAR file and keep it aside or not? Komala. For that reason, keep it aside and taking that and whenever required manually delivering to the customer is called continuous delivery. Kundan Kumar, any projects? Oh, I showed you on day one. There are so many projects that will be doing it. So many projects. Real-time projects. So check my Akhil, my first day class. I have mentioned all the things. Where Jenkins means where the application is in release state. Yes, ready to release. So guys, online, do you see this day one and day two? That is my previous recordings here, which we have conducted a couple of days back. Go through my first day class where I have showed you what are the projects that it has included in this course. Clear enough? And okay, let me ask here again, everyone. How about tomorrow? Do you need class as it is December 31st? I am leaving it on you based on your opinion. I will decide. Go ahead online. Yes or no? I know you have a lot of plans. Say everyone. But your party will start at night, no? Hmm? Family time. No, no, no. Okay, sorry. Oh, Deepthi saying your wish. Okay, so here I understand your priorities and I understand your feelings. For that reason, what we do is let's hold a class for tomorrow. Okay, so I understand, but January 1st will be there, class will be there. So many people have this very, one small, yeah, January 1st, if you start learning from Ria sir, entire year, no, don't learn entire year from me, but the entire year will be super good for you. Okay, so what we do is tomorrow, December 31st, let's hold on the class for tomorrow, and January 1st, we will resume freshly, fresh year, we'll start with this DevOps course. Okay? Okay, Nana, online? So let's meet on next year. So Akhil, can you please share your details again, please? Take the screenshot online. Okay, so that is the admin details, Mr. Akhil. So please help him. Okay, so please contact him only on WhatsApp and start enrollments if you wish to do so. Super. Imran, see in the chat, Imran. Those are the videos. Yeah. Fantastic. So I really appreciate, we have a lot of people join, online people. So yeah. Shubhankar, see that in the message. He has a WhatsApp number there itself. All right, Nana. So can you give me the final CC for today? CC with smile. And tomorrow there is no class. And please be careful. Don't go outside much. And please be in your safe limits. You know what I'm talking about. Right? And so because I want you to be in January 1st in my class with a lot of conscious. Okay. समझ रहे हो? तो समझा नहीं रहे तो Okay. So and because I'm always worried on you, please, you're all my dear students, so please take care of yourself and wish you an advance happy new year. And definitely we'll be on January 1st, come back with more and more, lots of love and energy, so that we will be banging this DevOps like AWS before, right? So that is all for today. Let's connect next year on January 1st, same time, same place, and same link. So until then, take care, have a nice day, and take care. See you on January 1st. Take care of yourself tomorrow, guys. Good night. See you on January 1st. Bye-bye. Good night.